We all have stories. Stories inspired by culture, competition, creativity. Stories show our humanity. They inspire us to greatness and remind us to be humble. Stories connect us to our communities and the rest of the world. We are the Chata people, and these are our stories. See and share them at togetherwe'remore.com.
It's called Hollywood! Lights! Camera! Action! Hollywood Brown! CeeDee Lamb still running! Into corner! CeeDee! For the TD!
People don't know what it is to be champions. Oklahoma invented it.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? Did I clip on the intro? Probably. Sorry. I talked right into the damn thing. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Through the Keyhole. It's an Oklahoma football podcast. I'm Brady Trantham. We've got Matt Burton in the house. Matt.
Oh, hey. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you
yes.
were going to say something else. Yes.
Yes.
Hey,
it's
me.
You've got a light in your eyes. You might want to.
I know. It's my window.
There's always a special
my
gleam.
dumb window.
There's always a special brightness in your eyes, though. You got very pretty eyes. I will say, I finally have been in Matt Burton's bedroom, and I'm going to let all the listeners wonder why that might have been. And you know what? I still feel bad to this very day. This was back on Saturday. I spilled beer on his carpets, and that is my bad, man. Hopefully the it was some kind of light beer. Hopefully it doesn't smell like like a gym in there.
No, we're good. We got to it quick. We got to it really quick. Got the towels out. Got it all cleaned up. We're good. We're all good.
Yeah. Matt gave me. We were at his housewarming party, and he gave me a gift. Gave me some old OU goodies from the 2003 Rose Bowl, the game guide. And just an old little book about the University of Oklahoma. And in typical me fashion, I say, thank you very much, Matt. And after having written my Nate Hibble story, part 1, part 2, over the last month and a half or so, I look at the Rose Bowl program, and I look at him, I'm like, this would have been very helpful 4 weeks ago. So,
what's crazy is I've been meaning to give those to you for a long time. And every time I just forgotten to bring it. And so, yeah, that's my bad. That's my bad. That was
just digging a hole deeper and deeper. Like, I could have given you this at any point, anytime. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's better late than never. And I appreciate it. Alan Kinney also here, was not at his house though, but no. I don't know. How is DC going? Can I come hang out?
You're more than welcome to whenever you feel like it, Brady. Mi casa, su casa. But as long as you're not spilling beer in my bedroom. But no, I saw a little band called the Foo Fighters last night at Nationals Park. I was a little bit. I preferred the opening act, the Queens of the Stone Age. I don't know if you're familiar with their work, but it was. It was fun. Dave Grohl is from the DC area. And so, you could tell he was like legitimately excited to like be there, like playing for his home crowd and all that stuff. And that part was, that part was kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of the Foo Fighters, but
There you go. You and I can agree on that one. Not a big fan of the Foo Fighters. Does Dave Grohl like claim DC or does he claim Seattle?
I think he claims DC. He was talking about how, he grew up in, Alexandria, which is, right outside of the city of DC. And I think he still has family here and everything. So, he was legit like pumped to be back.
There are two very famous musicians who have died in the wake of Dave Grohl, and I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not a big Foo Fighters guy, but if you are, and I know a lot of you are, hey, at least it's music played by somebody writing it on instruments. That's cool. I like that. And no, Alan, I'll never spill beer in your bedroom. I will spill it in your ballroom though. But hey, indeed. Jake Michaela is alive. Yay. Shout out to my boss at Sooners on SI, John Hoover, for the little scoop he put out on our website. a few days ago or yesterday. I can't remember. It's Tuesday. I melted out in the sun at practice today. But apparently a sprained MCL for Jake Michela with a timetable for a return of 4 to 6 weeks. And we all hope it's closer to the 4 than it is the 6. 4 would be around Michigan, New Mexico, that thereabouts for his return. And then 6 weeks, you're kind of going up against maybe coming back around the Cotton Bowl against Texas. So of course, 4 better, 6 not as good. But let's start with that, guys. This kind of broke in terms of the reports, the leaks coming out from OU scrimmage on Saturday. Sooner Scoop and Brandon Drum from OU Insider, I think, were the first ones on it. Brandon Drum put it out publicly. Jake Michela apparently got rolled up on during a scrimmage, which sucks. It's just, it's football. You can only get ready for it by being physical, by tackling, by going full speed. But at the same time, you run the risk of pointless injury in fall camp. Nobody likes fall camp, but in fact, it seems like OU's just kind of like with Michael Fasusi, like, hey, we don't need you, big guy. Just go stand over there and don't get rolled up on. Don't do that. So like OU's taking some precautions, but initially, Matt, because I was with you at your party, and we were all kind of like, wow, like that. If you're going to lose your at the time, again, if you're going to lose your center for the entire season with a torn ACL, which is what we all kind of assume because we're all pessimists, it's like, man, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. The vibes were down. Vibes were down whenever we heard that for sure. But man, I guess my initial thought, obviously, as everyone else's, was like, okay, who's the backup? Like, who's going to?
I thought you were going to say who's next. Like, who else is getting hurt?
Yeah. Who's next? Yeah, that's where my mind goes for sure. Obviously, we all think maybe the wide receiver room, which hopefully not. But that's some late PTSD there. But no, like, I mean, just very interested to see who steps in there. Obviously, Caleb Nita from Western Kentucky is probably the odds-on favorite, I guess, having actually played center in a college football game before. But man, whenever name like a Noah Best has been, and we talked about this, Brady, yesterday, but like Noah Best has been getting some run at center, and this isn't like a thing of, oh, they just started talking good about Noah Best after Jake Michela got injured. It was this already happened before any injuries had taken place. So that makes me feel good on that. But then obviously it's a true freshman, and your first 5 games, right? Like there 3 of them in really tough environments, at Michigan, at Georgia, and Texas, like assuming, the worst for Michela's injury in rehab. But I don't know that. I mean, Ahito Zaida, if he can snap, right? I mean, that's also the big question when it comes to center. It's not just like on the college football video game where you can just move someone over and to center and the snap's good every time, and it's just let the computer handle it. Like you actually have to snap. So I don't know, just kind of intrigued by all that, and at least this happened a few weeks out from game 1 instead of like the day before.
Yeah, you're gonna want him for Texas El Paso. I mean, hopefully no. I mean, Matt, you could play center against UTEP. No. I'm going to be probably mean for a minute, but before that, Alan, I just wanted to let's rewind back to Saturday. I mean, were you kind of like, here we go. It's a Brent Venables team in an off season where it seems like the offensive guys are the ones who get hurt all the time. That this sucks. Or were you just kind of like, let's wait and see before we start dooming?
Oh, you have to be prepared for injuries. I mean, that's just part of football. Ever since I was a little kid, I can remember coaches, saying to me, look, one player doesn't make a team, especially in football. You got to just be ready to roll with the next guy. That's cliche, but it's kind of how I look at all injuries at this time of year. Now, OU hasn't hit a point yet where they're stacking injuries upon injuries upon injuries, which we've seen in the past. And that's, typically doomed a season. We're not there yet. And with Michela, this sounds like about the best case scenario, but I was already in my head, I had moved on at that point to figuring out, okay, so will they roll with Nita? Will they try to move Noah Best in and go ahead and just throw him into the fire early? Because everything I'm hearing suggests that Best is ready to play right now. I mean, he's ready to be a contributor in the interior. So maybe, at that point, it's a matter of figuring out just which space he slots in well at, and find the next one. I didn't want to say slots in best at, and then moving on. So, I'm looking at it and thinking, Michael is probably back. My guess is Michael does not play until, if I had to guess, New Mexico. And I say that because
I thought so too.
Yeah,
if it's more on if you're on the more on the precautionary side, unless like this was a very serious sprain, then you can get him ready for Georgia by playing him against New Mexico.
But if you don't have him till like the week of the Michigan game, I just don't think he's going to be able to get back in the swing that quick,
Yeah. And you weren't wanting to make a best pun. It's not really a pun, but it's just a stupid dad joke. I've received all this Noah Best hype since spring. I mean, we'd ask offensive linemen about like, so what's the depth like? What are the new faces like? We'd ask very general questions, and time again, Noah Best's name would come up. So it's like, well, this guy must be kind of legitimate for a 3-star. And then you look at his, measurables. He's 6'4", 318, and he does not look, 325, excuse me. He does not look 320, 325 whatsoever. Like he looks like an 18-year-old. Sure, he looks like a big guy, but I mean, David Stone, a little bit taller and less weight, over 300 pounds, and he looks it. Noah Best does not. And that's a compliment. It's just like that guy's going to be a monster moving forward. But I heard all that hype back in the spring, and of course during fall camp, and I'm just like, please break the curse of, Stephen Good. Remember him? Not good. He was not good. Noah Best, please be the best. That's what we all hope, that you can be the best, not the opposite of that, like Stephen Good was. And maybe I'm misremembering, because again, that Stephen Good played when I was in college or of a drinking age. So maybe I was a little bit more angry or a little bit less. Maybe I don't remember as much, but I just remember going like, he's not good. Like the fist of an angry God. But no, here's where I'm going to be a little mean about all this. And Matt, like I probably said this at your house, when we were kind of talking about this. So Jake Michaela, I don't want anyone to get this misconstrued. Jake Michaela is a good player. He is a big part of why we are all very excited about the offensive line, the continuity, the extra year of experience. Like he's a big part of that. And for OU's offense to become a much better unit than it had been last year, the last 2 years, Jake Michaela was going to be a big piece of that puzzle. So don't get me wrong. Like he's a good player, and OU needs him to be back as soon as possible. With that said, there's two things here. One, with Jake Michaela last year, and this is just per PFF, he was an elite pass blocking center. Run blocking, he was like everybody else in the offensive line, where the run blocking just was not there. And so it is my general opinion, not necessarily just on Jake Michaela, but as my general opinion, watching OU football, it's okay to ask for more from those position groups. And so maybe Jake Michaela has made those improvements. And again, like I feel bad for the guy, because if everybody remembers, he missed the last 2 games of the season last year with that infection, lost a handful of pounds, lost some weight, had to work his ass off in winter and in spring to just basically get back onto the field at a good playing weight. And did so. So he's worked his tail off, and then this happened. So that truly sucks. And maybe in that growth that he had physically in the offseason, maybe that was going to result in a much better run blocking center, because OU needs to be able to run the football this year. Again, Jake Michaela would be a big part of that. At the same time, though, you can ask for more. And I don't even know what the right word would be, like, because there's no like production for centers or for offensive linemen that you can kind of rattle off. But I think it's okay to demand more. Now, at the same time, is that Noah Best? Is that Caleb Nita? I mean, we don't know. I don't know. Noah Best is, like we've said, very hyped. Caleb Nita is probably your default next starter He was the guy who stepped in once he got hurt on Saturday, and he's probably going to be the guy moving forward. Noah Best is going to get some reps. But at the same time, it's okay to ask for more, A, and then B, overall, when it comes to a center, and centers are important, they're the quarterback of the offense. But guys, we have seen random dudes slide over to center and play at a high level. We've seen Brody Eldridge, a tight end, do it. And then he got hurt again. We've seen Trent Williams in his final game as an Oklahoma Sooner slide over to center, and OU won the Sun Bowl. And Trent Williams, I get it. Like, he's probably one of the best football players to ever play the game. So maybe not a fair analogy to make. But then even last year, Febechi Wiwu in the college football playoff against Alabama, who had never played center in his entire life. And again, a lot of interior linemen have probably played center up until this point when they're in college because they're just so damn good. Febechi played center last year against Alabama and played it really well. So all that to say, OU should be fine, even going on the road against Michigan. And yeah, you don't really want to have, like, if it's Noah Best, you don't want to have a true freshman be like your first big road game at the big house and getting all the alignments down, the blocking schemes down, getting everybody on board. Like that's not a very ideal situation. But guys, we have seen this happen before, and OU has been able to kind of pick the ball up and keep rolling because this is OU and they've got dudes. So and Alan, I'll go back to you. I know that was long, but I just don't want to be 3, 4, 5 weeks into the season, whenever Jake Michela is able to come back at some point. And let's say OU's lost a game or two, because they could very well do so with the tough schedule. I just don't want people to be like, oh man, if Jake Michela didn't get hurt, the offense would have been so much better. And I would just sit there and say, like, guys, I'm sorry. Jake Michela is a good player. He's not a guy that's keeping OU's offense from being what it was last year to potentially great. Like, you should still have the expectation that they made these improvements and could reach a much higher level as an offense with Caleb Nita or with Noah Best. Like, to me, the expectations should still be the same, while recognizing Michela is good. It would be great to get him back as quickly as possible.
Well, and another thing you brought up, I mean, these examples from the past, you're making in-season adjustments where you're moving guys from different positions over to center. In this case, you've got two guys who have been training at center, who have played center in the past. So it's really not even as big of a switch or transition as those other guys had in the past, right? If anyone is going to say Jake Michela is the difference between OU's offense being, stellar and just being good or whatever, like, no, come on. Like, that's not reasonable. It's more a matter of, in my mind, you start worrying if another guy goes down the offensive line or, a quarterback is that type of thing. But no, a center, no, that's not good enough to be making that kind of excuse.
And again, like, OU could beat Michigan with Caleb Nita or Noah Best. Then they could beat New Mexico without Jake Michela, and then they can lose to Georgia without Jake Michela. And hell, they could lose with Jake Michela. Like, that them's just the breaks. Georgia's good. This schedule's very hard. I understand that, especially with this staff, it's been very annoying to see offensive guys go down. It's been very annoying to be told they're going to be like, here's their timetable, like 3 to 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, or, they'll be back in the second half of the season. And it seems like there are more times than not where those things do not come to fruition. Like, it's always kind of a weird recovery process. It's not very consistent. And I know a lot of that had to do with that training staff that nobody really liked 2 seasons ago in 2024. And it's a different staff now. So you hope that that's not really the case anymore. But I mean, Matt, it's again, like, the overall lesson here is just whatever optimistic expectation you had for this offense, Jake Michela going down sucks. Keep it, though. Like, keep that expectation, because this is OU. Like, hold them accountable.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone put out Landon Tingle. I don't know who it is, but put out something about Caleb Nita too. If anyone is like wanting to know more about Caleb Nita, put out like a breakdown because Western Kentucky played LSU last year, and I say almost won. It was 13-10. They lost 13-10, but LSU's offense was just atrocious. And I think Western Kentucky had a defensive touchdown. That was their only touchdown of the game. So Western Kentucky's offense wasn't doing anything against LSU's defense, but Nita had some good stuff. Man, like we're saying, I don't think expectations should change based off of Jake Michael, right? I mean, would he be down the list a little bit as far as offensive linemen? Like, where would he be, I guess, in as far as like the list of offensive linemen that you would be
Jake
like,
Michael?
okay, you'd be like less concerned that they are injured. Like, obviously, I think Fasusi would be number one, right? Like you would be most concerned if Michael Fasusi gets hurt. Where would Jake Michael be on that list?
I mean, for me, he'd be the fifth guy. I mean, Fasusi, Marion Harris, because I just like the idea of just two stalwart tackles on either side. EPL, because I think very highly of him. Foje, because you've got Heath Ozida that can just slide in. If we've already seen it last year. If Foje rolls an ankle, then I feel great about Heath Ozida coming in. And then Jake Michael. And again, it's not because I think Jake Michael is not a good football player. It's just because he's surrounded by a bunch of guys with much higher ceilings, and even their floors could potentially be as high as his own, like what we've seen out of him already. He could very well have made some great jump this offseason, like we're all hoping everybody else does. So I'm not trying to poo-poo that whatsoever, but if you ask me, it's like, yeah, he's like the fifth guy. And that's why I was like, this sucks, but this should not be. This is not Jermaine Gresham going down in fall camp in 2009, where it's like, oh shit, like you already have a bad offensive line. You've lost all your receivers, and you just lost like your X factor All-American tight end, like for the year. It's like, that's going to be really hard to bounce back from if you could do it at all. So, I mean, that's just my take. I mean, Alan, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Every team now, in my opinion, is going to be dealing with depth concerns along the offensive line. How they address them. I mean, I think that your capacity at this point, since you can't really stack great offensive linemen on, one after another at different positions, it's just teams are going to have to learn to make do with who they got. And OU's learning how to do that early in this season. But that more than anything now tells you that you've got to be able to make those quick adjustments, or be ready to go with the next man, because it's football. It's just that's the part where I never know what to do with injuries, because it's such an integral part of a very, very violent and physical game.
Well, you turn them off, Alan. Turn off the fucking injuries.
Indeed,
like,
indeed.
Did you forget to turn it off on? Is this your fault?
Could be.
Like, I spilled the beer. You forgot to turn off injuries. That's sad. Peyton, our fourth horseman, he's in the chat. He's busy doing his other job. His, as I said before on a previous episode, his adult work, his actual job. But he had a little quip in the chat. And again, like, shout out to our patrons. And again, if you want to join our live stream, we do a public live stream at least once a month, but every other week during the month, we do it just for our patrons live. Just go to patreon.com/throughthekeyhole if you are so interested in helping support what we do here. And you can jump on the live stream and talk to us and tell me that I look silly with my man bun or whatever you want to do. Tell Matt he looks cool. But Peyton said, with OU's rumored adoption of the outside zone as the main run scheme, the A-gap loses some importance on down-to-down basis. If OU was still running inside zone as the staple, it would be a bigger loss. And, I mean, Peyton has been, a week or so ago, he was talking about, like, remembering the spring game and him charting how many times OU was in 12 personnel. What'd he say? They were, like, in it 90% of the time. And, it's a spring game. But this is a very unique situation. It's a very unique team. If this was, fourth year Lincoln Riley as your offensive coordinator, there's not that much to read into, because what you're getting with the offense. It's elite. So like they're not gonna like tease anything in the spring game for us to like talk about all offseason to look forward to. It's like it's a pretty set thing. With this team, you've got Ben Arbuckle, who's still young, just in terms of earth age and his career as an offensive coordinator. It's his second year. He was somewhat handicapped last year with a quarterback who was injured, a green offensive line, and an offense overall that just could not run. And there's been a lot of emphasis on just improving the run game just from a Brent Venables team perspective. But then they also brought in 3 tight ends that are all very good at blocking. So it does kind of beg the question of everything Peyton saw, everything that we saw in the spring game in terms of like utilizing all your tight ends at the same time, or all 2 of them at least. Maybe there is something to read into that's going to be the case once the games start being played. And we talked to Xavier Robinson today. We talked to Heath Ozida earlier today. And they were both asked about the tight end additions to the team in terms of like improving the run game. And they're essentially like, yes, 12 personnel, like not specifically, not explicitly, but yes, we need them to help. And they are a big help. Hayden Hansen especially always gets shout outs from his teammates for being a monster, being a guy that can just move human beings all over the field. So these are things to look forward to. Again, I want Jake Michaela back, but I think it's okay to hope that maybe Caleb Nita can be just as good. He's got experience. He played damn near 700 snaps last year. And I know it's Western Kentucky, but that is experience at the college level. And then Noah Best, maybe he's a freak. And if so, maybe OU can find something like a surprise and he's even better. But I think the blessing in disguise here is that you're building much more depth for the grind of this schedule. And if a guy does go down later in the season, maybe this will be like, thank goodness Jake Michaela wasn't seriously injured, because it forced OU to have to like move some guys around and give them some extra reps. So that's always the hope. Moving on from that. It's fall camp. There are names that are out there. I will say, like we've talked about Noah Best, and Matt, I'll ask you this. Are you still kind of surprised with the Tank Carrington conversation or the discourse, not just from his teammates, because team players are always going to talk glowingly about their teammates, but Brent Venables reiterated what David Stone had said about Tank Carrington, 2 weeks ago, about, he's going to be special. And again, is it that big of a deal? Kind of, because we've had questions about like, is OU going to have like that depth at defensive line in the interior like they did last year, considering that they lost Grayson Holden, who's going to be an NFL Hall of Famer if you watch his preseason game. And then of course, Dominic Williams. But past that, it's like you're depending on dudes who've not played a lick that much at OU. You're depending on transfers. And then, of course, you get to Tank Carrington, who's a true freshman, so you don't even really talk about him that much. But then the players kind of force the issue of us talking about him because apparently he is a freak. He is special. He's the Noah Best of the defensive line, apparently. So I think it's 2 things. One, it's good for OU's defensive line moving forward this season, if he is truly ready and truly that good, because Brent made a Jaden Jackson comparison to him. I didn't, he did. But number 2, not that we need to get that far ahead of ourselves, but if we were worried about the defense in 2027, because you lose Kip and Owen, potentially Eli Bowen, Peyton Bowen, David Stone, Jaden Jackson. Well, if they already have Tank Carrington, like with a season of I proved it, you could be going into the 2027 season with a pretty good young defensive line already.
You absolutely could. I will say, when David Stone said that, like a week prior, Tyler and I actually got to interview David Stone, and we asked him just straight up, like you guys did, like who's sticking out to you, and in summer, spring, all that stuff. And he said Tank Carrington. So it was nice to know that he wasn't just like changing his answer from between the times that he talked to us and then he talked to you guys. But I'll buy into it. It feels like we keep hearing it at every single turn with Tank Carrington. But and like you said, Todd Bates, they played Jaden Jackson, David Stone some as true freshmen. Like, I don't know. I believe it. And plus with a bunch of unknown behind Stone and Jackson this year, like, why not? I mean, if he's one of the better guys that's flashing, I mean, it's a lot different last year if he would have come in and you already have Dominic Williams and Grayson Halton back there. But it's different this year. There's a lot of there's some spots and snaps up for grabs behind those two at the interior of the defensive line. And I mean, I don't care if he's a true freshman or not. If he's one of your better guys in the rotation, you got to go to him.
And I guess, Alan, like, not necessarily specifically about Tank, but just, I think we were all kind of in the same boat on this podcast with, like, yes, there are questions about the depth at defensive line, but then once we would get further into our answers, we kind of just essentially fall into, well, it's a Brent Venables defense. It's a Todd Bates defensive line. Whoever they throw out there, I'm sure they're going to be pretty good. Now, will they be as good is like what we're going to find out. But as we get closer and closer to the season, Alan, do you feel less concerned about those questions on the interior of the defensive line, or just the defensive line in general? Because I mean, I'll be like, frankly, I'm expecting them to be just as good, if not better, than they were last year.
That's a tough one because they just had so much experience last year. They had grown men back there. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're in the same boat right this year. Bishop Thomas, for example, I mean, he's played a lot of football, but if you're relying on Tank Carrington, he's a young guy. But there's so much promise there. My main concern is more along the lines of like depth. Like, if you're going to be able to rotate as many guys as OU did last year. Now, they sound more confident in that group than they have been, or probably than I was. I guess I've been surprised by how confident they've sounded in that group. But you know, it's still going to be one of those things that's just going to kind of nag at me at least until we see them actually in action and confirm that, yeah, okay, these guys who we haven't seen as much of are ready to contribute.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically you're correct, because experience is, especially in the SEC, is so important. But maybe like how my brain's been working is maybe more David Stone and more Jaden Jackson. Again, knock on wood that they're healthy, but maybe more David Stone, more Jaden Jackson will equal better overall product, because they are amazing players. So like, Matt, I know mathematically this isn't how it really shook out last season, but let's say like Grayson Halton, Dominic Williams, Jaden Jackson, David Stone, between the four of them, it was like 50-50. Well, you've got David and Jaden returning this year. So are you looking for like 50 them and then 50 a combination of Nigel, Trent, Tank? Or maybe it's like 65 David and Jaden, and then like it's the whatever 35% Trent, Nigel, Tank, Bishop Thomas. Maybe that equals better than what we saw last year to make up for the loss of experience.
Yeah, I think for me, more than anything, the big thing that would help is if Jaden Jackson makes it through the season healthy. He was really essentially the fourth guy in that defensive tackle rotation last year. If you get him, playing a greater share of snaps, you're already better off right there. What I'm more concerned about is, okay, he has an injury history now. If he has to, kind of throttle down to where he's playing that, kind of lower share of snaps like he did last season, is a guy like Trent Wilson ready to go and fill the role that Grayson Halton or Dom Williams played last year?
Trent Wilson looks good. And like, I know they're just drills, but he looks so quick, violent with his hands, very strong. I mean, I like Nigel too. I like Bishop Thomas as well. But to me, it's been like Tank and Trent are just like, those guys look slightly better, slightly different than everybody else around them, not named David Stone and Jaden Jackson. I guess sticking with the defense. I mean, we talked to Cortland Guillory today as well, Matt. This secondary just, I want to be so excited for them, and I am. And I'm not going to sit here and like complain about something, but it was just so long until they got an interception. And it was Jeremiah Newcomb, I think, against Kent State last year was the first pick of the year. and didn't have that much success after the fact, like immediately thereafter. But then they started getting, like, the floodgates started opening in November. Eli Bowen had, of course, the pick 6 against Alabama. He had an interception at the end of the Missouri game, but it was just kind of like a desperation mode for Missouri, but they weren't going to win anyway. But, it was just an arm punt, and Eli caught it. Specifically with the corners, like, that's like the next step in a Brent Venables defense, because we've basically seen just about everything that you could possibly want from a defense. The corners finally, other than Eli physically, just because he's short, but he's a baller. But the cornerback play is exceptional. The only thing we haven't really seen is just ball hawking corner. And some of that is just kind of luck sometimes, because, Cortland dropped an interception against Tennessee last year. It was like he got tipped up in the air and he just didn't catch it. I think against Illinois State, he dropped one in the first quarter, like on a quick slant. He just dropped, or that might have been Gentry Williams, if I remember correctly. Outside of that, all the dropped interceptions I can think of were like Kendall Daniels or Peyton Bowen or linebackers. Not a lot with the cornerbacks. So maybe that has to do with, like, the fact that OU's defense is so good at getting to the quarterback that there's not many opportunities for them to jump a bad throw. But to me, for Eli, for Jacoby, for Cortland, that's like the next step that I want to see, is whenever you do get those opportunities, and in this conference, they're going to have those opportunities because there's a lot of great quarterback play, a lot of talented receivers OU's going to have to face this year. But I want to see, like, jump those routes and catch the damn ball.
Yeah. Jacoby Johnson probably had the best, like, technical interception last year against Missouri, yes. To be fair to him. But I don't know, man. I think that's good. It's not that would be nice, right? If they each have like 5 interceptions apiece throughout the year, that'd be awesome. Man, I have a hard time. I've been, like, rewatching some of these games. Tyler and I on our show have been, like, reviewing the games from last year. And man, I just, outside of Auburn, really, when Cortland Guillory just had a tough day. Just call it what it is. First SEC game going up against Cam Coleman. It was a rough day for Cortland Guillory. But outside of that, man, I come away being like, yeah, no, if they just get this cornerback play, that's completely fine. And they take steps, right? Because obviously Guillory was just a true freshman last year. I was like, man, I think they'll be completely fine. I feel like it did kind of swing back the other way a little bit. The turnovers did, for sure. Like, the floodgates kind of opened, right? Especially with the, the, like, scoring plays, like the R. Mason Thomas scoop and score, the Eli Bowen pick 6 against Bama. Like, that definitely was the other way. I don't know. For me, this is based off nothing but just, like, almost football karma, if you will. That has to start from, like, the beginning, I think, like the turnover luck, if you will, that we brought up a lot last year. Like, and Brady mentioned, like, they probably should have had at least three not interception, but just turnovers against Auburn last year. So I don't know. I think that karma swings back in a big way for OU this year. And I don't think it's like guys just not being in the right position or anything. I think it's just, hey, they're going to make some plays now, like, finally. But yeah, I'm not too concerned about the interception numbers, but I think you're correct. Like, that is the literal, like, next step for both of them.
Yeah. And Alan, I've wanted to write this story. Goodness gracious. It's still down in my chest. I hate colds, or I hate allergies. I've wanted to write this story since Cam Coleman went to Texas, and it had, very little to do with, beat Texas horns down and all that shit. But mostly for, like, the narrative. Like, this is like it's a writer's dream, because, like Matt brought up, Cortland got cooked against Cam Coleman. Now, if you look at the stats, it doesn't seem like he did, but if you watch that game, particularly, there was one, I think Auburn's only touchdown drive until the fourth quarter. It was due to Cortland getting flagged, I think, twice for pass interference, and they were bad pass interference. He was getting worked by a freak in Cam Coleman. But that was a bad day for Cortland. He got asked about that essentially earlier today, and he said that he learned a lot and he looks forward to. I think he kind of ended his answer with, "Can't say much," and then he kind of chuckled because he's like, I'm not going to sit here and say something about Cam Coleman, so it gets all over the place. But it was a tough day for a true freshman cornerback for him. And Brent Venables that day said, I put him on an island on purpose. I know he can handle it. He handled it. There are some plays that he'll want to have back immediately, but he's going to grow from it. And the defensive plan worked against Auburn. Like, OU sacked Jackson Arnold 1,000 times. But, when you're not able to get there, like, you just throw a big jump ball to Cam Coleman. But as soon as he went to Texas, I thought, man, if Cortland shuts Cam Coleman down in the Cotton Bowl, OU wins the game. That is just so easy, like full circle moment. You remember how you got cooked by him, and now look what it led to in an even bigger game, better environment. It's not Auburn, it's OU Texas. Like, that to me is like just one of the easiest stories you could ever write. Maybe he can do it. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, right? But I thought that the part about Brent Venables setting OU up to defend a specific way that left Cam Coleman kind of on that island. I mean, that's kind of key to me, because you look at the numbers from last year. I mean, OU really shut Auburn down. Whatever they were doing, it worked pretty well, right? So you never know. It could be that the plan when they're playing Texas this year is, okay, this time we're actually going to blanket Cam Coleman, or we're going to put another guy over the top. I don't really know. But Coleman is a supremely talented receiver, and that's going to be a tough matchup for really any cornerback. I mean, I guess you could make the argument that maybe the fact that Guillory didn't get cooked worse speaks well of how he played. I don't really know, but what I saw of him from start to finish last year was really strong, and he clearly improved over the course of the year to where, I mean, teams were rarely even looking his way, if I recall, by the end of the season. So it would be a great narrative to see him go out there and shut Cam Coleman down. I don't know how realistic that is, but sometimes limiting the damage is the best you can hope for, right? I just don't have any real concerns about OU's about Guillory as a cornerback. I think that he's, from what I've seen so far, he's quite good.
Oh yeah, and you kind of alluded to it. He's a dog. Like he's a guy that even if he has a bad day, like I just kind of expect it to piss him off so much that he plays better the next week. Because it's going to happen. You're going to get cooked on a play. You're going to have a bad drive. You might even have a bad game because you're playing a bunch of dudes and freaks and mutants in this conference. So it's going to happen. Does it snowball you? And for him, it doesn't. Like he is cool, calm, and collected while being super hyped as a player. In his own right. And then you've got Eli Bowen on the other side, Jacoby Johnson backing them up, and got another Tristan Hayes shout out today when we talked about cornerback depth, or we asked him about cornerback depth, which tells me he's probably the fourth quarter over Dakota Fields. So that's, I guess, something to look forward to. But is there anything on offense you guys wanted to touch? Xavier Robinson did mention that Jonathan Hatton got clocked at 22 miles an hour. And remember, he's 6'1", 235. He could probably this sounds mean. He'll probably lose like 10 pounds going into next offseason, I bet. Imagine him with slightly more speed, but still essentially the same power. And we've not even seen him play. Yeah. But I'm so excited to see Jonathan Hatton carry the football. And maybe what OU fans maybe envisioned with Jaden Ott, and I know they're different players. Thank God they are, but maybe what OU fans optimistically envisioned with Jaden Ott last year, maybe you're getting it back in Jonathan Hatton. That's the hope. Anything else with specific with the team that you guys wanted to touch on?
Well, to go back to Hatton, I haven't heard many running backs get this kind of buzz or get this kind of praise from teammates, coaches, and maybe I'm wrong. I can't. I mean, I'm trying to think of who the last one would have been, but that's the part that's really got me kind of taking notice, because it's not necessarily a position where you hear a lot of buzz in the preseason. Historically, with at least with this coaching staff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Devin Walker had like the spring game. Like he was the big star of the spring game. And unless I've not been in a scrum when running back depth was asked about and his name got brought up, like I've not heard anyone bring him up, but I've heard people talk about Jonathan Hatton. Now, most of us reporters are asking about Jonathan Hatton because it's just like, look at that guy. Like, look at him. He's incredible. So, for all we know, maybe Jonathan Hatton is like buried on the depth chart. But I will say, maybe you guys have caught this too. Any like clip OU has put out of the offense with John Mateer like in the shot, more times than not, Jonathan Hatton is the running back.
Yeah.
And they're just clips. They're just random little drop-ins of a practice. But to me, it says something that number 20 is out there with number 10 taking the snap. So that to me says something. But
yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I've noticed the same thing.
Yeah, we will find out in a few weeks. UTEP is an awful football team. Andy Bass going to get carries in the second half, I expect. So, and hey, Andy Bass, he could be a fine player for all we know. I'm not going to poo-poo that as well. OU opened the season, or they're going to open the season, AP ranking number 9 or number 10, excuse me. They were number 9 in the coaches poll. But I got to publish my story on Sooners and SI. I was getting really nervous. I got so nervous, in fact, that I pre-wrote another story in the event that there were only 3 top 10 opponents on OU's schedule, which would have been the 12th time in school history that has happened. Well, I got to publish the story that I wrote first. This is the first time in program history, ladies and gentlemen, that OU will have 4 top 10 opponents in the preseason schedule. On it. Again, that's Georgia number 3, Texas number 5, A&M number 8, Ole Miss number 9. Now, again, their preseason rankings, will they be ranked in the top 10 when OU meets them? We're going to find out. But, Matt, it says something to me that it's just another reiteration of just how hard this schedule is. It just says something to me that OU, a program that has played like prime Nebraska, prime Texas, throughout the last 100 years, it's a program that's never been afraid to go to either corner of the country to play like prime USC under John McKay, prime like the U Miami in South Florida, Ohio State under Woody Hayes. This is the first time that they've had 4 top 10 opponents on their schedule going into the season. That says something to me.
Yeah, absolutely does, man. And also, just says that once again on paper, the schedule tough, man. just really, really tough. No matter how you slice it. So, I don't know. I remember having these similar thoughts going into last year, and when the playoff came around, and it was like, OU, jockeying for position with like Notre Dame and Miami and like all this stuff, and I was glad to hear that most national people were saying, yeah, well, they played this. Look at the schedule that they played. Look at who they had to go beat, especially on the road and all that stuff. When my main thing was like, you can't keep calling this like the number 1 schedule in all of college football. And then all of a sudden, because LSU and Missouri suck on offense now, it's like, oh, well, this actually really wasn't that good of a schedule. Actually, we can't put them in because it's actually not that good of a schedule. So I hope that, if Oklahoma does make some sort of run like they did last year, we're 10-2, and hey, maybe some teams at the end aren't as good as, what we thought. So I hope that everyone kind of keeps the same sentiment like they did last year. That's partly where my mind went. But yeah, I don't know. We'll get into the AP poll as a whole, but yeah, it's pretty daunting to look at. And 4 top 10 opponents to start the year. That's not fun, but that's the SEC.
Yeah. And then even outside the top 10, in the first 6 weeks, OU goes to number 16, number 3, and then they play number 5 at a neutral site, but all 3 of those games are away from Norman. That is very difficult. And then past that, you've got Missouri at the end of the year. They're 25th. I feel like, Alan, they're always ranked 25th. Anytime I see Missouri in an AP poll, it's like they're 25th. And then, hell, Florida, South Carolina, New Mexico, all 3 of those teams receive votes. So you just stretch it out all you want. I mean, other than a few teams, every team on OU schedule is a fringe top 25 team at the very least, and at the very most, a national title contender. There's at least two of them, you know, depending on your opinion of A&M or Ole Miss with Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, maybe you throw in three in that category, but it's just the weird thing is, Alan, like, I still feel confident. I still feel like 10-2 should be like how we should judge this team according to the talent that they have, what Brent Venables has proven from a defensive standpoint, what we hope he can prove as the head coach, overseeing a team with an offensive growth and jump in this offseason, with retention at quarterback, offensive line, like all those things tell me, even with this schedule, not tough, I still would say 10-2 though.
Yeah, I haven't really been moved off that. I think though that, you know, you can see where there's a lot of room for going below 10-2. I mean, this is for sure daunting. One of the interesting parts to me too about those, like if you look at it, you know, those four teams that OU's playing and that are ranked in the top 10, they're really playing four in the top 9 if we want to get technical about it. They're all conference games, right? So OU's added a game against Michigan too, you know, on top of that too, whatever they're playing the conference. And you mentioned Missouri. I mean, it's rough. It's going to be an adjustment, I think, for OU fans, SEC fans. I mean, you know, I understand the idea of wanting to maintain high standards and whatnot. I'm going to be interested to see what the standings look like at the end of the season and who played who to get a better idea, because it's very possible that scheduling ends up playing a huge role in how those standings look at the end of the season.
And real quick, because Matt, I think I said this on my radio hit yesterday, and I still don't know because Frank, I didn't look it up afterwards, but maybe you two know this. If you're a top 10 team at the end of the season, are you guaranteed a college football playoff spot?
No.
Is there like okay, so it doesn't matter, like final ranking?
Well, like the coaches, the committee poll is all that matters. So yeah, you'd be automatically, I think, if you'd be in the top. Yeah. So it should get you in, but I don't know if it is necessarily a guarantee.
Well, okay. So my question is, and let's just assume that of OU's ranked opponents, let's just say, like, okay, one of them kind of falls off. Like one of them is like, let's just say Ole Miss can't overcome the loss of Lane Kiffin. What we saw in the playoff was just kind of like momentum, and they're not able to, like, Trinidad Chambliss isn't able to pick the whole team up. And let's say they just go 8-4. So by the time they play OU, they're a 3-loss team, and OU's their 4th loss. So they're like anywhere from 17 to 25 ranked. And they, of course, end the season not in the top 25. So just one team. But let's say OU goes 9-3. Are they a top 10 team? I would say with that schedule, and if only one of those teams is, you know, by definition overrated according to how they were ranked in the preseason, that would be really hard to not rank them in the top 10. At the same time, though, I don't think 9-3 teams should be in the playoff with the format that currently exists. So it's this weird, like, man, they are one of the better teams in the country. They did lose 3 games, though, but it's like, man, they still beat some good teams. Like, it's an interesting question to think about.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to keep in mind too, though, again, you know, just math-wise, SEC teams are going to be picking up extra losses with the way the schedule's, you know, playing out, because somebody's got to lose some of these games. So, we'll see how pollsters and the people who do the rankings adjust to that if they do, because in my mind, I mean, you know, if Oklahoma wins 9 games against the schedule, that's pretty damn good. I mean, you'd have a hard time convincing me they weren't one of the 10 best teams in the country at that point. But how are you going to account for the extra losses? I don't know.
I'm looking up because I was curious about about like 3 lost teams and like how close they were
South Carolina 2 years ago. I mean, Texas last year.
Yeah, Texas last year was 13 in the last college football playoff ranking, behind BYU and Notre Dame, all that stuff. So close, but not like literally right on the doorstep. They pretty much were. And then 2024 Alabama was 9-3, and they were ranked 11th. They didn't get in. They were like literally the first team out at 9-3. That's when them, Ole Miss, South Carolina were all 9-3, and it was like, who do we put in? Screw it, none of them. None of them are getting in. That's when Arizona State and Clemson went in. So, yeah, just interesting to see. And then obviously 2023 was a 14 playoff, but yeah, last year, I mean, so like, is the 9-3 Alabama 2024 was the only one that was like literally the first team out, if you will.
Well, just keep in mind the grand scheme of things. A lot of the losses that would have been going to a team like, say, Toledo or UAB or Texas State, right? Now those teams are going to be having to play whoever, but the losses that were getting pinned on those guys, some of them are going to be getting pinned on SEC teams. Yeah. So again, like what's relatively speaking, how the records look, it's still going to be just a different exercise, I think, at this point.
I can't wait for it because it feels like we're like going to be seeing the first year of like, okay, a 9-3 team might get in from the SEC, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see because I don't know. Like, let's say, what was it? Georgia, Ole Miss, A&M all had one loss last year. I mean, I don't know.
I don't guarantee it's going to happen this year.
Yeah,
I
don't know if they can afford not to have like, I don't know. Like, let's say things go bad. Like a lot of teams win, or lose 3 games. Excuse me. But you have like, let's say Georgia goes undefeated. And 2 other teams only lose 2. Those guys are in, right? Those guys are going to be in the playoff. But then, I don't know if you could have a playoff with only 3 SEC teams. Like, yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, I guess they did technically have that in 2024, right? Was it Georgia, Texas, and Tennessee?
Yeah,
were the only ones. So I guess it can work, but man, to keep him out with the 3 losses after everyone bitched and moaned about them not playing 9 conference games. Yeah. I don't know. I could see the SEC coming back with the fury if they were like, no.
I mean, it's very possible that the third team is going to be 9-3.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's very possible that if you want to even have 3 SEC teams in the playoff, you're going to have to take one that's 9-3.
And people are going to have their opinions.
Yeah.
Man, hopefully this isn't a bad omen, but I just renewed my my Twitter timeline, and the first tweet is from an account called Back Then Football, August 18th, 2014, and it's a college football preview for Sports Illustrated. And who's on the cover? Trevor Knight. We got a question. We got a Hype Man Harry in the chat. Are y'all digging the extra conference game since you've been talking about it, Alan? Do we enjoy this extra conference? Like, to me, for their standpoint, no, because football's hard.
Yeah.
For our standpoint, it's just more awesome football to look forward to, man. Like, I enjoy it.
I'm going to miss the kind of intersectionality because we already see, I mean, yeah, OU hasn't been in the SEC that long, but these are the teams that we're going to be seeing more and more of, so, I mean, to me, a game like, I don't know, a game like Michigan, the Ohio State series, the Miami series, like those are fun. Like I really enjoy those. And I just, the room for those on the schedule is going to be shrinking. So, yeah, that I'm not sure if I would say I'm digging the 9th game, but I mean, I guess in the sense that it's a bunch of better games. I guess that is that part I like.
I'm just interested to see how it changes, or not changes, but just how the playoff evolves if the SEC starts kind of getting shafted for having like more 3-loss teams, or if they're going to get shafted at all. Because I don't know, I could see the SEC maybe going back on their 9 games. If they keep getting shafted, they're like, no, okay, we're going back to 8. Screw that.
I don't know. I think they need the money. I
Fair.
just think that's like to keep pace with the Big Ten. I think they're going to need the money from that.
That's fair. Then what's the evolution then? If that happens, of like, again, I'm not saying I'm with you. I think there could be a 9-3 team in from the SEC, a 3-loss, like regular season 3-loss team.
Well,
but
you know, it would be the funniest possible outcome to me of this is all of a sudden all the Big Ten teams start investing, or the Big Ten starts being like, oh, well, the SEC's, they're second rate compared to us. This is, you dealt with this in the Big 12 forever in recruiting, right? And all of a sudden recruits start going to Big Ten teams and, Minnesota or Illinois or whatever. And then all of a sudden you have the teams kind of in the SEC where you see maybe, some of the lower tier competitive teams like Mississippi State or Kentucky or what have you, any chance that they have a game like blue chip guys, like they're all gone now. Right. So then you get that same kind of stratification.
That won't happen.
No,
it just
won't.
won't. Like it won't.
No,
like
they don't care enough in the Big Ten, I don't think.
And there's just geography at play.
Yeah.
I mean, the SEC, like they became the SEC like in the 2010s because of, Saban, but also because the SEC's footprint is where all the recruits come from. So they had that added bonus, and, we all understand that. But I mean, the Big Ten, like Michigan had an old team. It was a very, very winnable playoff field for them. So that was just a fortunate break. And OU fans would have loved to have had a fortunate break on the playoff field anytime Baker, Kyler, or Jalen got to the playoffs. So nothing against Michigan. Ohio State, they're like, you're talking about Michigan and Ohio State. Like, I think Kirk Cignetti's the best coach in America, but I have some questions about them now that a lot of the players that he had coached for the last 12 years are gone. They still have some talent. I don't really think that much about Josh Hoover. I just, unless Ohio State does it, then okay. Like if Ohio State wins the national championship, it's like the Big Ten's won 4 in a row. It's like, okay, cool. Ohio State is great, and we've all known that. Like they've always been a power, or they've always been a player, so it doesn't surprise me. The Indiana thing is a surprise, but then you take a step back, and it's like, well, they hired the best coach in the country, so that's a very good advantage that they have. With the, like, in comparison to the SEC, I mean, how many SEC teams got in last year? I mean, you got OU, A&M, Bama,
5.
Ole Miss, Georgia. I mean, the committee recognizes it. It's like, yeah, like they have all the good teams. The Big Ten has anywhere from 1 to 3 good teams any given year. The SEC has 5 to 7. So
Big Ten got 3 last year, right? It would have been Ohio State and Indiana and Oregon. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I am ready for let's say multiple SEC teams with 3 regular season losses get in to the playoff. Like, let's just, for argument's sake, say multiple do. I am so ready for like the Joel Klatts of the world and all those guys, the Big Ten mouthpieces, to just come unglued and be like, man, I just can't wait. I need it. I need to see the bitching and moaning. I want.
They'll lie. Like they would lie, but just go ask like an Iowa fan or a Michigan fan that's like, oh, SEC wank motion. Like, okay, you want to switch schedules? No, that's their actual answer. They'd be like, yeah, we ain't scared. It's like, bro, no, you don't. Like when OU is playing for its playoff life in October, more than likely, because it's like, we can only lose one more game, if that. When they're playing for their playoff lives, it would be great to then just kind of imagine, what if instead of, like having to play Ole Miss or A&M next week, we had to play Maryland, or we had to play Michigan State or Nebraska. Wouldn't that be nice just to like say, you know what, we're going to win by 45 points. So like, hey, it's an advantage the Big Ten has. Good. Like that's their advantage. The SEC's advantage is they have all the good fucking players. What are you going to do? Anywho, moving on to, I guess we were already in the college football mode at large. Texas got some bad news, not as bad as it could have been, of course. Trevor Gooseby, their ultra talented left tackle, went down, non-contact injury, but it ended up being a bone bruise. So that's usually like a week or a few weeks, whatever, injury. That's good for them. But that's a potential loss, Alan, that if he's not able to be 100% against Ohio State, that could swing that game. Like I would pick Texas. They're playing at home. I like their talent more than Ohio State's. I like Arch Manning more than Julian Sayin. But if Gooseby isn't able to go, and I know that Texas on paper addressed their offensive line deficiencies in the portal, but until they prove it on the field, it's like we're all just kind of talking out of our ass on that one. And if they're surefire, like that dude is awesome, player is not 100% or can't play, it's like, oh, that is when people doomed about Jake Michaela on Saturday immediately after the reports came out. That's what this actually is potentially with Gooseby.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right about that. I mean, Gooseby is one of those guys who will be a first-round draft pick just based on potential alone, but he's a good player. And not having him against Ohio State would put them behind the eight ball in that sense. I mean, especially just because forget losing Gooseby, whoever you're putting in there at left tackle. I mean, that's the kind of thing where a good defensive coordinator like Matt Patricia is going to just tee off on that guy, right?
You're going to get bullied, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the way I look at it, I mean, my guess, well, I mean, look, man, I'm no doctor, so I know, but the way it was made out, especially that Texas isn't giving like a timeline at the moment, it makes me think that, they're trying to kind of keep their options open in hopes that maybe they could get him back for that game, even if they have to rush him back. So, it's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. But, it's one of those, I mean, that's the thing. You wonder too, like, and I'd have this question about anybody who suffers that kind of injury is it going to be the kind of thing where he can play on it, but he'll be 70% the rest of the season. He'll be 65%, somewhere in there. That, that's a tough one. I mean, I don't think that they did a particularly good job of addressing the offensive line in the offseason. But, again, it's just, that's one position when people keep saying like, well, if they don't have a lot of depth on the offensive line, nobody does. Right. And, it's one of those things though, keeping your studs who are up there healthy, that's going to be paramount for a lot of teams. And there's not a lot you can do when they're practicing before the season. It's just nature of the game.
Yeah. And look, we've got Texas fans that watch our show. And so like, I'll reiterate this for you listening and watching, and we appreciate your viewership or listenership from the bottom of our hearts. Hey, bro, whatever you like, asshole, whatever you want to call me, that's fine. You kind of like hand wave Jake Michaela going down. He's a starting center, and you're over here saying like, if Gooseby doesn't play, then it's like, oh, they're going to lose to Ohio State. Well, one, OU's not playing Ohio State in the first few weeks. They play Georgia in week 4. Right, week 4. Michigan
will have a good defense. Like that's no,
they'll have a good defense on paper until I see it, because they lost dudes that were actually good last year, and they're asking a bunch of Utah transfers to like kill it. Week 2 under
one of the Utah transfers is pretty good. The John Henry Daly kid, he had like 17 and a half tackles for loss last year.
Sure, my thing with that is just I expect OU to be better than that. And maybe I could be proven wrong. That's why they play sports. And if they're proven wrong, I'll be like, that was very disappointing. But you know what? Michigan, they earned it. Anyway, OU's not playing Ohio State in the first few weeks. And also, I would be dooming it like I'm dooming a potential Gooseby not being 100% or not playing against Ohio State. I would be dooming it for OU if Fasusi went down with a bone bruise. I'd be like, oh, that's not good. He needs to be back as soon as possible. Fasusi is great, just like I think Gooseby is great. So that's the difference, right? Like Gooseby's
really, really good here. I mean, it's not that Michael is a bad player or anything, but we're talking about major degrees of difference here.
Yeah, I think he probably played our Mason Thomas the best last year in the OU Texas game. Our Mason still had his fair share of victories in that game, but I mean, he was basically held in check. I mean, that guy is legitimately an NFL talent. So not good for Texas. Hopefully he can come back soon because, no one wants to see anybody hurt. But, Texas has talent. So just like OU, like if I was a Texas fan, I'd be like, well, we should have guys that can step in on short notice and play at a high level because that's the expectation at a place like Texas. Harry did have a really quick question. Freshman who might not start against UTEP or Michigan, but will take a jump and play a big role later in the year. He said Jashir Rogers. I would agree. Like I'm still on the Jashir Rogers, the hype train. I mean, we've already talked about Noah Best, Nate Carrington. Those are like fine answers. Matt, do you have somebody?
Not off the top of my head, Rogers would probably be where I would lean though. We also we also talked about Jonathan Hatton Jr. So yeah, I'll throw him in there too.
Alan?
Hatton was the one that I came up with first. Maybe Crail, or was that how we're saying his last name? Jake Crail.
Crail, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe him, although it seems like they've got a lot of defensive end right now,
Yeah. Wyatt Gilmore, he might end up just being like a really good football player, but there is like, you could fit him inside Taylor Wine. Like he still needs to like fill out a little bit more from like just a pure muscle standpoint. But again, he could just be like one of them country boys that doesn't look very strong, but if they got a hold of you, it's like, holy shit. It's like, maybe it's that kind of thing. He's from Minnesota. So maybe got some country strength to him for all I know, but yeah, Jake Krell would be a good answer. What would be a fun answer? Marcus Power. That's his name. Marcus Powers. Marcus James.
Marcus James,
the linebacker. Yes.
Yeah. Thank God I have the roster right in front of me. Marcus James at, I mean, 6'3", 235 at linebacker. I don't know if he's going to play that much this year just because, Owen Heineke, Kip Lewis, Cole Sullivan, and then after them, it's James Nesta, and then Mark, and he would be the next one. Maybe he plays a little bit, but I would hope so because I want to be excited for the following season in 2027. If he goes out there and plays like he looks, oh God, that'd be so fun to watch.
That's what everybody says. Like physically, he is the specimen that's out there that everybody kind of just is like, who is that guy?
Yeah. Well, anything else, guys? I mean, we're just a few weeks away from week 0. I'm not really particularly excited about any week 0 game. It's to me, it's like NFL preseason. I get really excited, like football's on, and I put on USC San Jose State for about 2 minutes. I'm just like, I'm gonna go outside. I'm done here. Any week 0 fun that you're looking forward to?
Does UNC play TCU again, or no? That's not.
Yeah, it's
Dublin.
Yeah, it's North Carolina
Dublin,
TCU.
yeah.
Dublin.
Yeah,
I was also going to say OU wise, preseason AP All Americans came out. Tate Sandell, David Stone, both on first team.
There you go. No second teamers, by the way. That's a little interesting. No, Harry, I'm not excited about UNC and TCU because why would I? It's in Dublin. I'll watch it. I watched the shitty Iowa State Kansas State game in Dublin last year. It was an awful game, awful football game. And I'll watch this awful one too. And hell, like when I went to go see Metallica in Dublin at that at Aviva Stadium, there were so many billboards advertising like, "Hey, American college football, American amateur sports, amateur quote unquote, TCU in North Carolina." And I was just like, man, like we spread too much hate on this earth, Americans to our allies. Let's not do that. But we're not sending Oklahoma. We're not sending Ohio State. We're not sending them. But UNC, TCU, Iowa State, Kansas State. I mean, come on. Kansas State's fine.
was recently in a national title game. You guys will enjoy them. You guys will enjoy.
And one of the greatest coaches in NFL history will be leading the North Carolina Tar Heels out in that field.
You guys are going to enjoy this.
Man, his girlfriend is going to be on point with the stories. Like, oh my God, Dublin, yay! Oh,
Doing it for the gram, man.
That she probably was like in on the negotiations to get that to be the international team. They're the team to go international for the opener. But anything else, guys, before we get out of here?
I think that's it for me.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to Through the Keyhole. We truly appreciate it. Please go support Through the Keyhole at our Patreon page, patreon.com/Through the Keyhole. And of course, go to keyholepod.com. That's the free website. You can go read Alan Kenny's Blatant Homerism column. Go check that out. Go enjoy it. We would greatly appreciate that. Shout out to Peyton Guthrie for not being able to join us tonight, but still being a part of the show. Appreciate him. Hopefully he's back next week. Get some of his thoughts down. We're going to have a Through the Keyhole top 25. We're going to have our own top 25 week in and week out. Peyton's been kind of running that one. So look forward to that for him. I don't know if he's going to put it on Patreon or keyholepod.com. I can't remember, but look forward to that whenever he's able to put that together moving forward. But for the absent Peyton Guthrie, the present Matt Burton, Alan Kenny, myself, Brady Trantham, everybody, thank you so much for listening to Through the Keyhole. Until next time, Saturn.